I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, and Bahasham Ha Rukakwadash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule great millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, Wa Abba. Alright, so this is just to show you what time it is, because we're to be observing the time and understanding which time we're living in, which we're living in the very end of the reign of the Edomite, the so-called white race, which they're losing power, so they're growing sour. All right, so it says in 2nd Ezra 9:1, this is the angel Uriel giving the vision of the future to Esdras, which was born in Babylon, but he was an Israelite, and he returned to Jerusalem. It says in 2nd Ezra 9 verse 1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in its south, because Esdras was asking to go back to the land from where his forefathers came from, because we were carried off into Babylon as slaves under the Assyrian Empire. We were taken into slavery, first the northern kingdom, then over 100 years later, the southern kingdom. All right, and Esdras was part of the southern kingdom, and he was born of the Israelite lineage in captivity in the Assyrian Babylonian captivity. All right, so he was a scribe, and he was pretty much in prayer to the Lord, wondering why the wicked rule and the righteous are oppressed in captivity, which we're still in captivity in 2026, the year of apostasy and Jacob's trouble. So the angel gave him prophecies, which it means to say before it happens, the things that would take place in the last days. It says in 2nd Ezra 9 verse 1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in its south. So look into the news, look on, what's going on, be circumspect, what's happening in your generation. All right. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest Yahweh, which it tells you in Isaiah 19, the burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, a chariot which is a throne, and shall come into Egypt, which his presence is here, starting with the prophets, and then soon he'll send his son Yahweh Shai with the host of heaven, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, which the earth is going to shake when he sends his son back. And the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, because Babylon the Great, this great whore, spiritual Egypt, aka America, which was founded on Enlightenment ideas, right, that they pushed as biblical, which they deceived the world. This is what the Lord talks of as being the Lucifer or light bearer, the Illuminati, the so-called white race, the wicked that rule the world. All right, they are Pharaoh and they are the king of Babylon, which we know that they use politics like gloves. All right, it says, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, which the judgment for this great whore is nuclear destruction, which they're going to lose World War III. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, which you're going to have war in the streets of America, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And it's because of the pride of the so-called white race, the wicked that rule the world. They want to bring in a implantable microchip, the mark of the beast, to make it mandatory for buying or selling and be able to put you to death for refusing. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, which what you know as America, waking up, going to work, going home, going grocery shopping, going home, just a cycle of slavery. Now it's going to be war. All right, there's going to be war in the streets. There's going to be war abroad. All right, and you're even going to see a war fought in the heavens. All right, between the Lord's hosts, which are spiritual, and man, starting with that so-called white race, the lowest base man, Edom, and his chariots, which are flesh, which he's going to lose. All right, it says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, which they can't explain what's happening. If they do, it will condemn them as the devil. And then if they do, if they do also say, it's going to also reveal who we are much more. We're the Israelites, the prophets. They come from the nation of Israel, which we prophesy in Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai's name. Yahweh is the Father, Yahweh Shai is the Son, which Yahweh is going to send the Son, Yahweh Shai, because he hears the cries of the Israelites, and Yahweh Shai is the mediator between us and our power, which we've been redeemed through Yahweh Shai's sacrifice. All right, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards, which the president even of Babylon the Great, the king of Babylon, Nero 47, he's inaugurated. When you go into Augur of Rome, which America is the reincarnation of Rome, all right, he used to wear red, and he would foretell from omens or signs in the weather and different things like that. The prophets, we have a sure word of prophecy, which is the Holy Scriptures, the word of Yahweh, and it speaks of his son, Yahweh Shai. All right, so there's false prophets, but you also got the true prophets, which the saints are going to be saved. All right, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, which is Nero 47. All right, the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, the king of Babylon, all right, which he's moving just like Nebuchadnezzar, which Nebuchadnezzar wanted to be worshipped as a god, and he used his military to do it. But eventually he came against the Israelites, and he lost his mind, and then he lost his kingdom, through his lineage. All right, it was his grandson when the Medes took over. All right, and they put his grandson to death and took the kingdom with a strategic strike. All right, and the Lord did that using man. The earth, it's a stage for the will of the Lord to play out amongst men. Ra Tazah, power, Ra being the head of a man, Tazah, the way of a man. So it's pretty much our power working through man on earth, which is the name of the earth, Ra Tazah in the Hebrew, and it means, the way of God moving through man. All right. So what's going to happen is it's going to go into war, and it's already building up to that point. All right. But I wanted to point out the identity of the wicked, the Edomite, and his strategies. All right. Which I got videos saved on my TikTok channel, and shows you here this Edomite, because you got these high schoolers, which are not children, they're young adults really, but they call them children because they don't raise them in these schools to be men or females. They raise them to be children. All right, because the leaders are like children. So as the king is, so are the people. All right. And you got a king, the king of Babylon, Bubblegut, right, who killed Bambi, over here shitting his pants. And at the same time, coming down with great wrath, because they know they have but a short time. So they're cleaving to that sword. All right. How did they get this land? Through the sword. The gun is the sword today. Back in the day, they actually used the sword, and then they built up the gun to the Gatling gun to deal with the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which been scattered throughout the world in slavery. All right. So here we go. So you see he's going over there. He has his face covered. He has a black flag on, which those black flags mean no mercy. And the red stripe is for the representation of shedding blood. All right, because a white flag means surrender. A black flag means no surrender. All right. And this is really a demon. All right. He's covered in all black. And he's probably an Ice Cube or an Ice T. All right. He's a goon. All right. This is why, these young niggas that go out there and they put on the mask and they be killing each other over turf. They're robbing, selling drugs, whatever. They're under the spirit of Esau, the devil, the so-called white race, the wicked, which they murder their brother since the beginning. All right. So this is what this man's looking for. He's looking for an opportunity to murder Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right. So then you can see he has a sword on his hip, and his shirt's been adjusted to show it, which this guy, like I said, he's probably an Ice Cube or an Ice T, and this is why he's, his health, he's a slim guy, because he has like a military look. He looks like an Ice Cube or an Ice T, and one of these alphabet, the elementary knowledge lacking, pencil pushing, that they have running the streets today, which are really weak men. They're the lowest. The Esau, the so-called white man, is the lowest existence of mankind. The Lord made him like that. That's why he gave him the sword, or really he wouldn't have a fighting chance. All right. So once again, he's out here. He's lean, like he's been training, right? And he's amongst high school, what they call children today, but really they're young men. And then look, there's a Jake back here with the red hat and the B, which is a police officer. All right. And he's pretty much telling this guy to get out of here, that he's stirring up trouble, right? Which really, we're not telling anybody to protest, all right? Really, we tell the Israelites, if you have faith in the Bible, repent, all right? Otherwise than that, all right, Esau wants you to be out in the street being disorderly so he could shoot you down with the Gatling gun. All right? That's his plan. That's how he hunts. He has 2 buck horns and he'll rattle them, right? 2 dummy horns, and he's rattling them like it's 2 bucks fighting. So another male buck will actually be deceived and come running, right? Come join the protest, and so they could be slaughtered. All right. Or he'll put urine on himself to attract them, right? He'll do all these different methods in hunting, and that's what he's doing right now. He's hunting you. All right. He's trying to draw you out into the streets, and he wants you to get violent so he could use that sword and murder you. All right. Remember, depopulation. This is the plan. All right. So now you see the police officer telling him to leave because he's stirring up trouble, which he knows this is a protest, and he's there as like an advocate of the devil, trying to stir it up to the point where he could murder what they call so-called high school students.
No one's touching you. No one's touching you. Got it on video. No one's touching you. What? Keep walking, man. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Go home. Go home. You keep trying to complain and get out of here. Go.
And as you can see, he's arguing with the officer. He wants to do what he wants to do. And look, I didn't even realize it. Look at the D. The D for the devil. Right? And the Jake, he has a B with a red hat, like blood. Right? Because we're in a spiritual warfare. A lot of these videos that you're seeing are actually little set-up movie scenes, and they're trying to deceive the people, eventually to the point of taking that implantable microchip, and they're going to use the chaos in the streets, the violence that they're going to cause to do it. Because really, why isn't this cop just arresting this man and moving him? Right? He has the authority there to stand before him and argue with this officer, because really, he's probably a higher ranking officer. And this is just a setup, all right, to show that the so-called white man, really, if he wants to, he could murder anybody and get away with it on earth, because he's the god of the earth, which deceiveth the earth. The devil, the so-called white man, they're the wicked, and the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked because we sinned. So we went into slavery, and we've been in slavery, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, all right, for generations. We've been scattered throughout the world in slavery, and now we're at the end. And the so-called white man and these other nations, right, the Moabites and the Ammonites, the Chinese and the Japanese, they're upset because they know their future. They're going to go into slavery under us, and we're going to be able to pay them back for what they done unto us, which they should be very afraid. All right? And this is a guarantee, a sure word of prophecy, which once again, if you're an Israelite and you have an ear to hear and eye to see what time it is, you should repent. All right? But the heathen, they have no salvation. There's nothing for them but slavery. All right? The Edomites are going to be eventually made extinct because there's no purpose for them in heaven. All right? They're a waster. They're the waster that was created to destroy. That's why they come up with these weapons of mass destruction, which I'm going to show you that they've developed even a weapon that don't need bullets. All right? And it uses sound, and they already have deployed this. Even chemical and biological weapons have they deployed in the streets of America. All right? Which really, they're running experiments. All right, because these are the blacksmiths that are now scientists also, which they come up with weapons of mass destruction, whether it's to attack your DNA or to actually go at your throat with a weapon. All right.
Respect the law, people. Respect the law, walk. Respect the law and walk. Walk. Respect the law. You was not assaulted. Nobody assaulted you. You're a fucking pussy.
And see, putting yourself in a situation like this, I studied the law because I've been in certain situations which required me to know the law of the United States, especially where I'm at, but pretty much throughout the country, that if you put yourself in a situation like this, you're the aggressor. All right. But this is why I say this is probably an Ice Cube or an Ice-T, a higher ranking police officer, whether it's federal or state or local, than this Jake that is in the bulletproof vest. The son, he looks like a son of Jacob. All right. And if you look at the watch on this man's arm, you can tell that's like a military style watch. All right. Which this is the kind of watch that these kind of Edomites wear. All right. So I don't believe, I mean, I do believe that this is probably like set up to intimidate the high school walkout. All right.
See a fucking crybaby out here with a gun, a grown ass man crying about a little kid. Talking about a high school student, man. Yeah, let me see the ID. Hey.
See, and why is the police officer, the dark-skinned police officer, allowing this so-called armed Caucasian to put his hands in his pockets when, you know what I mean, he's already been a threat? So that's why I said I believe that this is a agent of provocateur, all right, which is trying to stir up bloodshed in the streets of America. This is really what they want to do. Watch the movie Purge. All right, the so-called white race, they want to purge the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian because they're saying that they're impoverished.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
So now I want to show you. See this weapon here? This weapon, it's a sound weapon of frequencies. All right, and it causes it messes up a human's body. And they said it does damage that lasts for a period of time. You're not just going to go home and be okay afterward. Literally, they said later down the line, it's still going to affect you in different ways that you couldn't even expect.
Rat is here. The L-Rat is here. The L-Rat is here. The L-Rat is here. The L-Rat is here.
And this is why, really, you got to understand that a gun will not save you. A gun will not save you. They got weapons that go beyond the power of a bullet. All right, so you'd be foolish to think that you could fight the so-called white race and their government. All right, because they have weapons of mass destruction. They are a weapon of mass destruction, all right? Which they were given these weapons, and they were supposed to uphold the laws of Yahweh. This is why when they write their legal papers, they're always including God. Though they do not worship the true God, they are imposters, all right? But they understand the power of the motive of saying that they're philanthropists, or that they're doing this to benefit what they say the works of God. All right. Now, it's coming out that they are the wicked, all right, who do wickedly. All right, which I just showed you a method that they use in doing wickedly. All right, and they do a lot of things that's wicked.
So why he had zero criminal history, he doesn't have a speeding ticket, and he did everything. He came here in the legal way, and he did everything that he can do to stay here in the legal way. He did nothing wrong. He never missed an appointment at all. He went to his check-in appointment, and you guys kidnapped him there. I just can't understand. That's all of that happened.
See, so they're liars, they're thieves, they're murderers. All right, and this is what they've done since the beginning of time, the Edomite, the so-called white race. Now you're going to have Israelites that look like the color of this man or this woman. All right, you got Israelites that look like so-called Caucasians because we've been scattered throughout the world in slavery. All right, and the Israelites, the ones that are ordained to be saved, they're going to believe in the words of the Bible that speak of Yahweh's son, Yahweh Shai, which you could see this woman and this man are probably under the false religion of Islam, which the so-called white race devised as a deception, a tool of deception, a weapon of deception. All right, which you see they're coming after everybody, but the concentration is after the Israelite, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, which been scattered throughout the world in slavery. The so-called white race is being revealed as the devil, and they don't like it. All right, they don't like it.
The U.S. lost 600,000 jobs in January of this year, which is, I think, a record high, at least recently, because the U.S. lost 1 or 1.2 million in all of 2025 last year, which was a record year since.
All right, so they lost as many jobs as they lost in 2025, meaning all together of that year, they've lost in January of 2026. All right, so the pressure is building up at the same time as these devils are being revealed.
As a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman from the South who has somehow gained 4,000 followers on this app, I just feel the need to clarify that I have never voted for Donald Trump. That man makes me physically ill, and fuck ICE. As a blonde-haired,
See, so they're getting tension from all different.
Go ahead, take one more question.
You listen. You fucking listen.
You listen to us. You listen to us. You listen to us. You listen to us. You listen to us.
All right, so the tensions are getting hot.
Tensions showcased in this video just into our newsroom. Take a look. A high school student at an anti-ICE protest being hit by a car displaying a Trump flag. School officials now saying the car drove by the protests multiple times.
And according to America's leadership, you know, they really should have put that person to sleep, you know, using the sword, because they showed that Ice Cube or Ice-T, you know, when that lady supposedly tried to run him over, he put her to sleep, right? So this person should be, you know, given a death penalty for hitting a person with their car, according to the ways of the leaders of America, all right, which is a great whore, Babylon the Great, which it's going to lead to destruction. All right, it's falling apart right before our eyes. It's crumbling, the throne of the Edomite.
Tensions showcased in this video just in.
All right, their kingdom is falling apart.
The family matter and the truth for the matter. Here was God's plan to show y'all the liar.
See, it says 5 white dudes, which white, they're not. They are red. They're the devil. They are Edomites. Have more money than half the entire planet, because the wicked rule the world, and they rule it through deception, and part of the deception is their money, fiat currency. Explain to me how a brown immigrant is the reason you're struggling. Right, it's not the poor causing the struggle. They're struggling to live. It's the rich that causes the struggle. This is why the wicked, the so-called white race, they have the power, and the earth is in a wicked state under their power. All right? You got to remember Pharaoh in Egypt, when the Israelites, were listening to Moses and Aaron, Pharaoh got upset and said, you're not working. So he took away the ability to work and made it harder. And they still had to produce the same, but life got harder because he didn't want them listening to the prophets. So that's what's happening right now. He's trying to keep you from listening to the prophets. But really, majority of this generation is going to die. All right, it's a given according to prophecy. It's really the younger generation that's going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. If you understand the entrance of the promised land of the original generation, it was only the two, Joshua and Caleb, that entered. The rest of the Israelites were younger generation. All right, the younger generation is going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. All right, the majority of the older generation is going to perish because they're set in their ways, and their ways are Babylonian, their ways are Egyptian. They're in the way of Edom, the so-called white race. This is why the younger generation, they're walking out of schools when you got the older generation still going to work, right? The younger generation still understands, hey, they're taking everything away from us. The older generation already gave everything away. You see, they have nothing, they have no fight in them. The younger generation is more angry because they're more fresh from the spirit realm, and they're not as corrupted of the earth, from the earth, as the older generation. All right? This is why you're supposed to put new wine in a new bag. All right? An old bag, it doesn't have the stretching ability like a new bag. So it can hold the truth. It's dry, and this land of America is full of dry bones. Israelites, even if they know they're Israelite, that's as far as it goes. It says that life came into them, but there was no spirit. Which these Israelites that have no spirit, they're going to perish. All right, America is coming to a violent end, and if you don't repent, as it was prophesied for the elect to repent, you're condemned to die here with the heathen. All right, which you're going to be deceived into accepting an implantable microchip, the mark of the beast, which they're going to make mandatory, and they're going to use chaos to do it. It's on the back of their dollar. All right. So as you see, their kingdom is crumbling.
Someone on Facebook said, asking the government to arrest PDF files is like asking Miley Cyrus to arrest Hannah Montana.
Buc-ee's donated $1 million to ICE, so we're not stopping at Buc-ee's anymore. We're straight loves, okay?
Yeah, all you guys ain't that fucking strong, are you, doggy? Really? What happened? Your little muscle just left. Ain't got much to do now, huh? You're enjoying your muscle. He's gone. Now where's your muscle? I see weakness.
See weakness?
Yeah, you. Shaking your fucking camera right here. Shaking. You're not...
See, in the so-called white race, they're weak. This is why they need the gun. This is why they hide their face, because they're fearful. All right? That's really what they are. They're the most fearful people, because really it's in their spirit that they're going to be hunted eventually at the end. All right? And it's pretty much everybody's going to pretty much want to dust their shoes off in these Edomites' face. All right? Because they're the cause of the wickedness in the earth. Yeah, we sinned. But now that you've had the power, what did you do with it? You destroyed countries. You've obliterated people in their homes with dropping bombs on them, right? You poisoned the food, the water. You poisoned the air. You lied to us about even who we are, right? You say one thing and then you do the other. You're a hypocrite, right? So everybody's going to want a pound of the flesh of the so-called white race. And that's why they're afraid. And they should be very afraid, all right? Because they're going to have to pay for double for the Israelite. For what you've done unto us, you're going to have to pay double according to biblical prophecy. All right. And they can't stop it. they've been trying to figure out ways to stop it. That's why they come up with movies like Back to the Future. They're trying to go back into the past to stop their forefather Esau from selling the birthright to Jacob. But it goes even further back than that. Cain and Abel. All right, and really, it was created by the will of the Lord to play out just like this. He hates the so-called white race and his wickedness. All right, and he created the Israelite stronger, and he gave us more morale, more integrity, more righteousness, which is going to be judgment on your head because you're the wicked.
Used to it. Yep, put 2 hands on. There you go. It's all good. Let's go. It's all good. Come on, buddy. There you go, ma'am. Yeah, all you guys ain't that fucking strong, are you, doggy? Really? Your little muscle just left. Ain't got much to do.
So you see their kingdom is crumbling, right? At the same time, it's being revealed that they're weirdos, right?
I'm walking this way. Nope. You fuck off, cunt. Cunt.
And you can see that this man doesn't blend in with his white shirt. He's a glowing red.
I got a Gatorade.
Oh my God,
See, and they're like children. These grown men, they want to go out there and argue with high school students, which are known as children in this society. So these men are like children. And it says this in Isaiah 3 and 11, that the wicked shall get what they deserve, and what they are like children, and they set up women to rule. That's why women have the ability to scream in that older man's face, right? Because they've given them the right to. All right? The earth is wicked because the wicked so-called white man is ruling. See, when we get in power, none of this will be going on. The women are going to be in their place. They will be raised by their fathers and given in marriage to their husbands, which will be preordained. All right? So they're not going to have the ability to go and walk in the streets protesting against our righteous kingdom. All right? See, but in the wicked's kingdom, the woman has liberty to gather abroad. And look at what it's done. Look at the young women being in the street yelling at an older man in his face. You see what I'm saying? And this is his kingdom. See? Because it's wicked and it's coming back to bite them in the ass. All right? That they got to deal with the works of their hands. See, and women ain't supposed to have the liberty to do this. This is showing you that this is not a righteous kingdom. These young women should be already married if this was a righteous kingdom. You see? Because if not, this is what you get. You get women in the streets, and then when you give them the right to speak, right? They are in your face, and this is out of order. So they're just getting what they deserve. This is what they've promoted throughout their society, throughout the enslavement of these other nations, right? In Afghanistan, what was the complaint? Was the Americans gave liberty to their women. See? This is what America does, and now it's getting the return of its investment.
Turning Point USA supports artists that have lyrics like this. Young ladies, I like them underage. Some say that's statutory, but I say it's mandatory. That's from Kid Rock.
See, and that's what they promoted to society through their leadership. Nero 47.
Howdy, heathen. So Trump just posted a very racist meme about the Obamas. And you know the whole black people are apes, that's what he did. So to you dick suckers who ride for him, don't ever in your life tell me he's not racist and you don't believe the same. Good day. Howdy.
See, and they're showing their true colors, right? That they're the red devil, the so-called white man, right? He's the wicked. He's the red devil the Bible speaks of. All right. And he has enmity for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. Now, Obama is not part of the Israelite race, though he's a man of color. All right. He's a Hamite. All right. He goes back to the lineage of Ham. Shem, the sons of Noah, he had 3 sons. And out of those 3 sons came the whole entire nations of the earth. We come out of Shem, the Israelite, the Edomite, the Moabite, the Ammonite, the Ishmaelite. They come out of Shem. All right. Now the Hamites, all right, they go back to Ham, and Obama is a Hamite. He's not an Israelite. All right, but it shows the true colors of the Edomite, the so-called white race, and their hatred for others, all right, which they put Obama and his wife, which, you know, they there's rumors that that's a man named Michael, but they put the image of Obama, Trump did, which he openly admitted on Air Force One. Trump, it was Obama and his wife as monkeys, like a Planet of the Apes scene, all right, showing the true colors of this so-called white race and why he's removing the civil rights, why is he removing history of slavery of America, all right, because they think they're superior when they are inferior. They're inferior. The so-called white race is inferior to the Hamites, all right? In fact, the Hamites are going to be over the Edomites when we get them in slavery. Esau is going to be at the bottom, all right? Their diet is going to be shit and piss at the bottom of the hill, in a cave, in a pit, all right, for 1,000 years, all right? Because they're the worst. The so-called white race, they're the worst. They're the wicked. All right, a fucking African that's in Africa drinking cow piss, taking baths, right? Eating cow dung, worshiping a cow is better than a fucking Edomite. All right, which when we get them in slavery, they're not gonna worship no other god, but they're gonna worship Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, through worshiping the Israelites. We're the superior race, and we're going to rule over these heathen, which it tells you in 2nd Ezra 6 how the earth was created for our sakes. See? And that's what it's going to be. And that's where we're headed. It's created for our sakes. And the earth is even going to fight for us. It's going to swallow these heathen up. This is why you see earthquakes, floods, severe weather, plagues that the Lord is sending. And it's because the Lord is preserving a remnant of Israel, all right? And Esau is going to be made extinct after 1,000 years of slavery.
I just heard another creator say that the people who needed their own halftime show are the same people that needed their own water fountains. And
all right, which she's talking about segregation, which segregation is good. All right, it's good. The Lord requires segregation. All right, of seeing ourselves separate than from the other nations. All right, even Martin Luther King, he said that he was afraid that he led his people into a burning house.
I just wanted to come on and say that if you are currently employed right now, whether you like your job.
it is absolutely safe to say that anybody still supporting the Orange Tyrant is either in the files or wishes that they were.
So now Melania Trump is the laughingstock of the entire internet because she led a man with multiple credible sexual assault allegations and multiple appearances in the Epstein files. Not the one she's married to, completely different guy if you can believe that. Follow her around with a fucking camera for 2 weeks and then take that footage, cut it into a documentary that has her name on it, her face on it, and it was the biggest critical and box office flop anyone's ever fucking seen in their lives. No one went to see this film. Up until the day of, people were posting screenshots of primetime screenings of this film in their local theaters, completely unsold. It wasn't even some like sleeper hit with Republicans. She could not sell tickets.
New Mexico grand jury indicted actor Timothy Busfield on child sex abuse charges earlier today.
We are traumatizing these kids. We are robbing them of their futures.
Y'all know damn well we ain't the ones that look like monkeys. You haven't seen they lips? Y'all know damn well we ain't the ones that look like monkeys. You haven't seen they lips? Y'all know damn well we ain't the ones that look like monkeys. You haven't seen they lips?
All right, so I wanted to grab Malachi. Chapter 1. And I'll just start at 3. It says, "And I hated Esau, which is the forefather of the so-called white race, and laid his mountains, which are his governments, and his heritage, his land, waste for the dragons, for the wilderness, which is prophesying of the judgment of this great whore, which is going to lose World War III. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished." This is why they're acting out, the so-called white race. They're very fearful of the future. "But we will return and build the desolate places." Look what they said about Gaza, the land of Judah. "Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. They shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, Yahweh will be magnified from the border of Israel." Which when you read the NLT, it says, "When you see the destruction for yourselves, you will say, truly Yahweh's greatness reaches far beyond Israel's borders." Talking about Babylon the Great, America, which its judgment is to be destroyed by fire. All right. It says in Ezekiel 35, it says in verse 1, "Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir," which Mount Seir is another name for Edom, "and prophesy against it, because they lived in Mount Seir in Petra. And say unto it, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh," which we're doing this by the Holy Spirit of Yahweh Shai, "Behold, O Mount Seir," so we're calling out the Edomites, "I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, which he will send his son to fight ye, and I will make thee most desolate," which you're going to be destroyed and turned into a nuclear lake of fire. "I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh." Why? Because there was a prophet sent before the judgment. "Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the sons of Israel," the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which been scattered throughout the world in slavery, "by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end," which we're at the end. All right? Which goes back to that second Ezra 9. And And 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest, Yahweh, sending his son Yahushai, will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which you have these protests throughout the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things, prophecies, from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So it's manifesting what the Lord said would take place in our generation. This is the end, but it's also the beginning of the kingdom of heaven. It says, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings, prophecies, in wonder and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. So it's going to be a very exciting ending. It's going to be very dreadful. It's going to be very fearful. It's going to be a day of doom. All right, when Yahweh sends Yahushai back. But on the other side of that coin, it's going to be mercy for the Israelite elect, which we're going to be preserved. We're going to be changed, given new bodies, and then we're going to be given authority to rule over the heathen, which I already prophesied of that. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Wa abababal.